Guys, so this is the week that we're in is the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. And so it's the cross is everything. Literally, for Christians, the cross is everything. Because without the cross, there's no resurrection. But similarly, the incarnation is equally important because without the incarnation, there's no cross. There's no resurrection. There's no outpouring of the Spirit. There's none of those things. And so Paul gives us sort of our own way of thinking about life. And Jesus has said it a million times. A couple of weeks ago, we saw the thing where he told the people at the banquet, don't seek the chief seats at the banquet for yourself, and tells the banquet giver not to invite people who can pay him back, but to reach down the social ladder. Well, I want you to understand something. That idea that Jesus expressed was completely 180 degrees contrary to the way that Roman thought went. Roman thought was always try and climb the social ladder, always go up, not down. And so it gives rise to the old expression about be careful who you step on the way up because you're going to need them on the way back down. And there's a huge truth in that. And so here, though, what we see in the lesson for today, which is Philippians 2:6 to 10, if you've never heard the term the great condescension, it describes the incarnation. It describes Jesus laying down equality with God and becoming man. That's the great condescension. And Paul here, though, takes us further and he takes us through, a couple of condescensions. He first is he doesn't count equality with God something to be grasped. And then he takes on the form of a servant, being born of a woman, born in the likeness of man. And even then, that's the second condescension. Third condescension, he says, even then, being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. It's a horrible reality. We can be so familiar with it that we miss the horror of it. And I think that's one of the great things that Mel Gibson's film, was it 20 years ago now, brought back to us was the horror of the suffering of Jesus and the crucifixion itself. And I think that we should benefit greatly from it, even though it's the most difficult movie I think I've ever had to watch, to be honest with you, because it's true. In movies where there's suffering and all that, most of the time, if it's fiction, when Suzanne and I watch things, she'll get upset about something, and I'll have to say, it's a movie, dear. It's a movie. But I get it. I mean, a movie that's well done draws you in to the point where you do have to suspend belief a little bit and enter that reality that's been created for you. Well, the problem is that the Matrix was true. Now, the people that wrote it have lost their minds since then, but or directed or whatever they did. But it's true. We live in a reality that's constructed for us. It's constructed by media. It's constructed by all kinds of people. And what we need to be able to do is divorce ourselves a little bit from the reality that's been constructed for us and immerse ourselves in the reality of the cross. That will change you. It will absolutely change you if you immerse yourself in the truth that God became man, chose to become man, chose to submit himself to his own creation, knowingly submit himself to a creation and a chosen people who would reject him. And that's not a Jewish issue. That's not a Jewish issue. He's rejected now, but those he created, those who were created in the image of God. So there's not a significant difference between rejections. And we've all rejected him in one way or another because we reject his authority over our lives, right? That's what sin is. It's a throwing off of God's authority over my life and taking that authority upon myself. And so it's disobedience. That's what it is. But Jesus was obedient all the way to the cross. And all the power of God resided in him, and he could have come down from that cross, and he chose not to for the love of, well, us who have rejected him and continue to reject him every time we sin. We reject his authority over our life every time we sin. And so Jesus said, I'm going to lay down my life for those people. And the world is um, inarguably a better place because of that, because there are constraints. And much of the moral and ethical law in the world today is as a result of Christianity's rise. And what we need to recognize is that we are responsible for revealing Jesus to the world in thought, word, and deed. All those things are important. And what's been revealed in the last several weeks is just sickening about where we are as a society. And so I want to encourage Christians. I want to encourage Christians to be bold in their proclamation of Jesus in love for the world, in the same way that Jesus was bold in his proclamation, never wavering from a proclamation that there was something called truth and that it mattered. And, and we need to be bold about that proclamation, no matter what the cost might be. And we've seen it, forever. Look how all the apostles died. They got the stuff that we were looking at a couple of weeks ago in Hebrews, which is that we can't count anything as something to be grasped other than the cross. And if we live that way and we are bold in our proclamation and fearless in our proclamation, then we will hear, well done, good and faithful servant. But we have to understand what that cross-shaped life looks like as well. Not just the words, but the life. And if we do that, then we will hear those words spoken to us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.